Michelle Marie McGrath.
Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Unclassified Woman. Today I'm speaking to the thought-provoking Adebisi Adewusi in Nigeria. Adebisi is a rockstar photographer, writer and content consultant. From startups in Israel to multi-million-dollar companies in America, she's helped various companies across the world improve their content strategy and marketing. Besides helping businesses succeed, Adebisi uses her skills to bust myths about women and bring issues that African women face to the fore. Through her writing, Adebisi explores issues connected to feminism, gender, and topics with strong social and political context. She's written about child marriage in Uganda, ending sexual violence in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, gender stereotypes at work, and other spaces. She's been featured on numerous international platforms, including the Huffington Post, She Thinks, BBC's Y Factor, African Feminism, and many others. She also runs a gender advocacy blog, The Female Orator, where she educates nonprofits on how to get funding and interviews subject experts in the nonprofit sector. She's a third-wave feminist raised by women who climbed trees and spoke their minds when it wasn't fashionable to do so. Adebisi's feminism is shaped by the past and sustained by the present. And I found this conversation really, really thought-provoking when I considered what Nigerian women have to face in terms of the expectation of, reaching your mid-20s, getting married, having children, and how there really aren't many other options available to them that are visible in their society. And so it was really amazing to speak to somebody who's really breaking that mold and really walking her own path and her own truth with so much courage. Enjoy. So welcome, Adebisi. So great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. Awesome to be here.
Really looking forward to our conversation and hearing all about your perspective on this very interesting topic. Just to give us some context and background, would you mind sharing a bit about yourself and whether you've not had a child due to personal choice or whether it's been more circumstances?
I'm a writer and content consultant, and I'll have more time to do the things I want to do, and I don't feel I would be the best mother a child can have.
And have you always felt like that? Have you always felt like that since you were a younger woman, or as a child? Did you always know that you didn't want to become a mother?
I think the realization came sometime, I think, in my late 20s. When I was 25, I had that thought that I don't really think I want to have kids. Growing up, I didn't think about it at all. I didn't play with dolls. I didn't care about it. I didn't even think about it. So when I was in my mid-20s, late, I said, okay, do I want to? I asked myself that question. I was like, okay, I don't want to.
And so did you ever feel any pressure from family or friends at all about your decision?
Family, my parents haven't asked. I have a kind of odd family. They're not your conventional African family. So they've not asked that question. But my brother thinks it's odd because I've talked to my brother about it and he's like, why would you not have children? That's the odd thing to say. Let me see. I said, my family, my parents did not ask. So I think they didn't really care. My brother is actually bothered about it. My boyfriend is fine with my decision. My friends are like, I'm a very weird person. They don't understand that.
And so I suppose, is it just typical in Nigeria that that's what you do? You get to a certain age, you get married, you have children, and usually most women don't question the status quo. So do you feel that you're quite unusual in your decision, or is it becoming more common in Africa?
From my perspective, it is very, very unusual being a Nigerian. I've never met someone like me. I have still not met. every other African person I know is living abroad.
Right.
So I think I know only like 2 people, and they're both abroad. One is in the UK. I think one is in the US.
Yeah.
Nigeria, I never think about it because it's the essence of marriage. The essence is to have kids. We don't care if you're happy in it or not. Just have children. If you don't have children, then you have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a Nigerian thing. It's not an African thing.
Yeah, so it's not usual. So you really are breaking through those traditional boundaries and creating a new path.
Mm-hmm. Totally, I am.
And so it's great that you feel so clear in your decision.
Yeah, I'm actually quite clear about it. It's something I decided that I'm at peace with that decision. I thought about it. Okay, are you sure about this? I went to my quiet place and I thought about it, and I was like at peace with what I decided. That, okay, no kids, no problem.
Yeah, and so did you question? Did you have some beliefs that you had to explore once you realised in your 20s that you thought, okay, I don't think this is really going to be for me? Was it something that triggered that realisation, or I don't know, sometimes we might have an event in our life that really clarifies our choice or decision about something. Was there anything in particular that was a trigger for that complete clarity?
Being in a relationship really made me think about it. Then I'm like, I'm no longer one person. I have somebody with me. I was in a relationship and there was another person. Now it's not only me. I have to think about my boyfriend. Did he want to have kids or not? So at that point, I had to think that if he says a yes, do I walk away or not? So I was comfortable with the fact that if he said he wanted kids, I would probably say, okay, I think it's the end of the road for us. So when I had a boyfriend, I had to think about it, and I was like, I'm fine with that decision. So I talked to him, and he was also fine with it, which is actually very rare for an African man. Very, very rare. As in, I don't know any African man that doesn't want to have children and who would not be bothered about it. I don't know anybody.
Wow. So, you're really in like a groundbreaking situation, really. So there you are feeling really clear about this. I think this is amazing, that you're feeling really clear about it. And then, of course, your partner is saying that he's okay about not having children as well. And so is this something that he has discussed with his family at all? What kind of response do you think that he might receive?
Okay, I think I need to give a little bit of background to my boyfriend. Like I said earlier, not the typical Nigerian and African man. And also, he's lost both of his parents. So there's nobody to actually say, give me grandkids or don't give me grandkids. So that's what I had. I didn't know that's what I would get when I made my choice. But as you have, that's what I have.
Yeah, and do you feel that attitudes about this, where you are, do you feel that this changes or the pressure changes depending on your age, like whether you're in your 20s, in your 30s, around 40? Do you feel as though, the attitudes in the society change at all?
Actually, the attitude is once you're in your 20s, you're expected to get married in this part of the world.
Yeah.
So if you're not married by your 23, 24, 25, people are asking questions. So when you're like in your late 20s and you're not even having kids, it's a problem. One of my colleagues was like, hey, BC, you're not getting any younger, and your clock is ticking. So when do you want to have kids? So the older you get, the more pressure there is from family, from friends, from every working person in Nigeria. Even your pastors and your imams will ask you.
Gosh. And so do you think like once you get to, say, your late 30s, 40 onwards, do people then, if they see somebody without children, do they just assume, oh, there must be a problem, she must be infertile? Do you think they make that assumption because it's so unusual?
They don't. It's not a thought. They do make that assumption.
Yeah.
They say, but the next people are asking you that I know one herbalist, I know one pastor that can pray for you, and you have kids immediately. So Immediately they see you at that age, no kids, there is a problem.
Yeah.
And if you act like you're not bothered, then we go into the spiritual dimension. People then say, probably you're a witch and you've eaten your children or sacrificed your children to somebody and all that nonsense and all that nonsense.
Really? And do people still really believe that in this day and age? They really believe that?
Yes. A lot of people believe that. This part of the world, yes.
Gosh, and so how do you reply to that? That must be difficult.
Funny enough, I've not gotten that response because my circle it has to do with the kind of people you move with, your background.
Yeah.
I come from an educated family, and we don't have this kind of conversations. My family is open-minded enough to understand that a young woman can decide to do what she wants to do or not. But most African families, most Nigerian families are really connected to they're really traditional. Okay, let me put that. They're really traditional. So when you're going around without kids, there is a problem. It has to be spiritual. It can't be normal anymore. It has to be more than meets the eye.
Right. And so do you think it's very much connected to religion, for example, as well as tradition? Is there a religious element in that belief that, that's just what you do?
Yes, there is a religious connotation, being that the Bible says, go forth and multiply, if I'm quoting right.
Yeah.
It says go forth and multiply. So if you're not multiplying, you have a problem. So people equate that multiplying to having children. And in the traditional and cultural sense, a man must have a lineage.
Right.
You have to have kids to carry your name. So you not having kids to carry your name, you might as well not be alive.
Really? So it's just that attitude of then, if you're not passing on your lineage, if you're not procreating, then your life is not meaningful. It's what is it? What's the point of you?
Totally. That's it. What's the point of you without children?
Gosh. And so then if you say, well, I just don't think it's the right choice for me.
the kind of stares you get.
So they would just think, oh, she's crazy, or
totally, like you're crazy, something must be wrong with you. How can you dare say that? It's like will I say it's a taboo to say that you don't want to have children. It's like you're cursing yourself, and you're placing a curse on yourself that I don't want to have kids. That's a bad thing to say. You should never say that. You never say that.
Gosh, it's so fascinating. I mean, it really is interesting. So, because obviously in most societies, there are often very similar taboos, but it is interesting. Do you feel that there's a big difference in what women of colour face in comparison to white women? There seems to be a lot more religion mentioned.
When I compare it sometimes, when I read what people say, and I compare, it's like ours is much more intense.
Yeah.
I think white women can get away with it and be like, oh, okay. Here it's a foreign thing. When you say you don't want to have children, here it's a much more grievous offense.
Yeah.
It's a much more grievous offense here. It's really grievous.
So people take it very personally, don't they? As though, like you say, they just can't understand your logic for that decision. They can't get their heads around it. It sounds like it's very intense.
Very, very intense. Very intense.
And so how do you feel knowing that it sounds like really you're a role model for, young Nigerian women who maybe had not realised that it was an option for them not to do that? Do you ever have many conversations about that with other young women? Have you been approached at all, through your blog and everything about women? Are there many forums for child-free African women to discuss this?
There are forums, however, there are few, and people don't know much about them. I think I know about 2 forums, apart from the Facebook groups that you have.
Yeah.
But dedicated to African women, I think I know of one lady in the US who runs the website for African women without choosing to live without children. I talk about it, conversationally with friends, and I told them, and they're like, oh, okay, no. But the funny thing was that when I wrote about it for African feminism, the response I got was massive.
Yeah.
it was massive because nobody had said that thing before. It was me shaking tables and men put on that table. Many women sent me messages to my inbox and like, we like what you wrote.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
however, our husbands would agree with it. Some people said, some women were telling me, how can you not have children? That was a bizarre conversation. So my star called me too. And my sister said, I interviewed one of the African woman who lives in the UK.
Yeah.
And she was saying she was child free. My star called me and said, that woman must have a problem. How can you be child free? That it's not possible and all of that. I had interesting comments. Some women actually like the idea, but do not have the courage.
Yeah.
To live that kind of life, because living that kind of life, it's a lot of courage, and you must be really independent minded and not care about anybody. I think these things, that the fact that I can choose to be child free is hinged on one other important thing: the fact that I'm financially secure. To an extent.
Yes. Yeah.
So if as a woman, especially an African woman, you're hinged on your husband for finance, you can't just wake up one morning and decide, or at any point in that relationship, and say that I don't want to have children. If you say that, nobody will marry you. If nobody marries you, he will take care of you.
Yeah.
So the women are, they are bound to the men to do what the men want them to do. It really takes a very open-minded man,
Yeah.
to decide to not have children.
Yeah, and what you say is so true. The fact that you are independent and you can support yourself. Of course, you're not in the position where you're being dependent on a man, so that you don't have as much say. And also, it sounds like from what you've said, yeah, you're from an open-minded family who are educated and understand that, they respect your choice.
Yeah, totally. Those factors have helped me, come this way and help me make that decision. I'm comfortable with it. It's harder for a person who has to struggle with family who want children. Your mom will be asking you, where are my grandchildren? The mother-in-law is asking, where are my grandchildren? Immediately you get married, the next 1 year you should have a baby.
Yeah.
So if you're not having a baby, there is a problem. And most women have been pushed out of their homes because they didn't have children.
Really?
Yes, and you have women buying babies because they can't have children. So rather than face the stigma of being called a barren woman, they go buy children from the children market, as I would call it.
So where do they buy the children from? Is it from like an orphanage, or is it from somebody who they've already got a few and they decide to give up a baby for adoption?
Okay, it's a bit complex. It's the black market. It's illegal to buy children. I think I wrote an article for nonparents.com on this same topic. In Nigeria, this is how it works, based on my findings and research. People sometimes kidnap young women, make them pregnant, and sell the children.
Gosh.
So you have hospitals that are fake hospitals, and the woman goes to a doctor and says, "I don't have children. Can you help me?" And he says, "Yes, I can help you." And he brings that baby. That baby is from a young person who was impregnated against her wish, and somebody sells that child. On the other hand, you also have a story whereby girls are made pregnant and they are aware of the fact they will sell those children, and they're like, okay, fine, I don't mind selling my children. There was a recent story in the news whereby a priest was the one coordinating the whole thing. He was the one linking women with sellers of babies. It's something that that happens in Nigerian society.
Gosh.
I don't know how rampant it is, but I know it exists. And people do it. My mom has told me stories of women who appeared from nowhere with children, and they're like, when did you have a child? And all of that. So that market exists in Nigeria. It's an illegal market, but it does exist. And women go get children from these places. And I think that the fact that society wants Nigerian women to have children by all means makes them go buy children from the black market.
And so do you think people just turned a blind eye to that practice, knowing that it's going on?
The law enforcement agencies try to stop it. They're always reading, but that market still exists. I think people do turn a blind eye. Being like the man, that's the husband, definitely will turn a blind eye to the fact that his wife went to buy a baby. He must be in agreement for her to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
I've not met anybody personally who bought a child. I know they wouldn't tell anybody anyway.
Yeah, but I suppose what if there's been no signs of that person being pregnant, and then all of a sudden one day they just appear with a baby and they say, I've had a baby, and they think, but you weren't pregnant. So how do they mask that? Do they pretend to be pregnant for some time before?
Yeah. Some people do that. Some people pretend to be pregnant for some time. Or some of them will just be like, you won't see them for like 6 months. They will just disappear for 6 months and they come back with a baby. There will be rumors. There'll be rumors, but nobody will have the guts. In Nigeria, you can't just walk up to someone and say, how did you get a baby? You can't say that. That's really rude.
Yeah.
So what you have is rumors flying everywhere that this person obviously got a baby from somewhere because we know she wasn't pregnant. And so it's just rumors. Nobody will have the guts to go and ask where you got a baby from.
Yeah, and then of course, do they then have to organise paperwork for the child, like a birth certificate and everything? Because I was just thinking about, obviously, if it's on the black market and it's illegal, then how would they then obviously they must have then a fake paperwork to say that it's their child.
Funny enough, I didn't even investigate that angle, how they carry on with the whole thing, because I've not thought about that. I really don't know.
Yeah,
I've not researched that far into the topic.
Yeah,
probably they should. They would.
Yeah.
Well, on the other hand, we have a Nigerian society that is not really keen on documentation.
Right.
So you could get away with it, but at some point, I suppose the child would have to have some identification mark and all of that. So I suppose at some point, that's an interesting topic. I probably should look into it.
It is interesting, and yeah, it just shows the pressure that many African women are under then to provide a baby and to be a mother, even if they're unable to. I mean, it just really highlights that pressure, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it does. It does show. It was an awesome topic I wrote on then, and as usual, things people know but will never say.
Yeah.
So that's why I take it upon myself to write these things. I don't care what anybody says about me.
Well, it just sounds like you are a really strong voice for so many of these topics that are taboo, so it really, I'm sure that you're helping sort of much more women than you even realise, who maybe don't have the courage to speak out or reach out. Just reading an article or something from you I'm sure it's very insightful and really a bit of an eye-opener for them to different possibilities, even if they don't have the courage or the means, or the possibility to have a different life. At this point, at least, I guess it's opening people's minds to other ideas and possibilities.
Yeah, those articles did do that, because the responses were awesome. Like you sent me an email. I've got emails from other people, from other media houses, wanting to talk about this same topic. And we have a conversation around this issue. I'm so happy.
I mean, I think it's really important that we do have these conversations, and that people, the women who do have a voice and are able to speak up about it, do that as well for the women who can't. So it's the only way that change occurs over time.
You're right, totally right. I agree with you.
And so I think it's wonderful that you're doing the work that you're doing and writing, and that you feel, independent and strong enough and able to do that, and that you're really following your path. I think it takes a lot of courage when you know that there's so much resistance around you to this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I just I'm doing it, and there was somebody who wants to do it but wouldn't have that guts to do it. Why not just tell them, look, it's okay to do it. If you want to do it, you can do it. It's not a do or die affair to have children or to have children.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all have different roles to play, and different gifts and abilities, and different experiences of what fulfillment and purpose mean in our lives. And so how would you say you feel most fulfilled? What is it that you most enjoy?
I enjoy writing. I enjoy nurturing other young women.
Yeah.
And mentorship and all of that. writing, nurturing other women, and photography, telling stories. That's what I love doing.
Wonderful. Yeah. And so you're really using that creative energy in your work in that way, in sort of written and also through the visual medium of photography as well.
Yeah.
And so what words of encouragement would you like to offer any other women who may be listening to this, who don't feel that they have the strength, or that they are in a situation where then they don't feel able to speak up? What would you advise them to do just to support themselves in any small way?
Okay. Firstly, it's okay not to have children if you don't want to have children. It's perfectly fine. Understand that your ovaries are not solely for the purpose of having kids. It's totally fine. And not having kids doesn't make you less of a woman or less of a mother. No,
Yeah.
you can nurture other people. You mustn't nurture your own children that you have to push out of your vagina. No, you can nurture other people. And there is a community of women who don't have children who are ready to support you through your journey. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. There are, but I suppose it can be very difficult if you're somebody who doesn't have those examples around you.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're feeling a lot of pressure from your family, and if all of your friends are doing the same, I can imagine that's extremely difficult.
Yeah, it is extremely difficult. But actually, I found that if you want something, you need to put your mind like, okay, this is what I want, so what I'm going to do. And you need to put in place, like some mechanisms or strategies that will make you live the life you want to live. Like I said, for instance, being financially secure. As an African woman, it's important if you want to live this type of life.
Yeah.
It's really very hard to find I'm not saying you can't be in a relationship. You can't. But you can choose the terms of a relationship when you're not financially bound to a person.
Yes.
So alongside what I said earlier, be financially stable. Have a business, have a thing going on for yourself that you know that, okay, if I meet somebody and he says, these are the terms of whatever I want to do, you know that money is not your determining factor. It's not a determining factor in your relationship. So you can always walk out of it if you feel that this person doesn't want to be with me because of children, and not stay in a marriage whereby you're not happy because you're having kids you do not want. Because you have mothers who are crappy mothers.
Yeah.
And they're crappy mothers, and you're like, okay, what's the big deal now? Okay, you have kids, but you're a crappy mom, so what's the point?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, we know, don't they? We all know, women who probably shouldn't have been parents, but also, I recognise it's very difficult if you don't have financial independence, like you say, and that you must feel that your options are very limited. If you don't have that financial freedom or support and you feel very tied to what your partner wants.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so, well, thank you. So interesting to hear your perspective. And, you just sound like such a strong character who's really following her path. And I think it's wonderful, for lots of young women to see you as a role model. And so, where can people find out more about you online? What's the best URL to find out more about your work and connect with you?
My website, dedicated to women, is thefemaleorator.com.
Yeah.
Let me see, thefemaleorator.com. That's my gender focused website.
Yeah.
Then people can reach me on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm always on Twitter, which is at bswag. That's at BISWAG. Or you just go the normal old way, email. My email is bc.adewusi@yahoo.com. I'm always online, so if anybody can talk to me, I'm always online.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. It's just so fascinating to hear the experiences within different cultures and countries. And, often there's so much that's so similar all around the world, but then of course there are these differences as well that can make it, that can make a challenging situation already more difficult. So I really appreciate hearing your views, and I'm sure that the listeners will find it fascinating too and really helpful. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Awesome discussion. You've made my day, actually.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
All right, then. Thank you so much. So have yourself a great evening.
Thank you for listening to Unclassified Woman. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. For information on events and services, connect with Michelle at michellemariemcgrath.com.